And then there's Nintendo. So that's what I'm saying. Like at one point it's gonna be like, and then there's Nintendo, right? Like that's the part that's gonna hurt Nintendo.
But they're powerful, man. You know, the biggest brand ever that makes a bunch of money is Pokemon, right? Like, look up the number one in brand that makes so much money. It beats Mickey Mouse. It beats Disneyland. It's Pokemon. Nintendo owns that. You cannot play Pokemon outside of Nintendo. It makes so much money.
I get that. I feel, but it's a dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be, Danny. From a business perspective, it's a dangerous place to be.
I think it's actually saving them, in my opinion. If they open the doors and they walk into Steam like PlayStation did, why at that point? Why would I get a Nintendo Switch 2 when I could just buy a Steam Deck?
But you don't because But that's the great part, because for the last 30 years, every manufacturer of a game console has been selling their consoles at a loss to recoup the money at the software. And here's an opportunity to completely cut out the loss and just make the profit.
So have someone else make the hardware, and you just provide the games.
Yes, like it would open up the opportunity for everybody to play Mario, because regardless of where they're at, whether they're on an iPhone or they're on an iPad or they're on a tablet or whatever they're on, they cannot play the game they want to play.
Nintendo culture is very, 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 very heavy-handed. Have you seen, like, you can't even YouTube stream Mario without certain things?
So but that's what's going to kill them.
They're going to lose control, and they don't want.
But that's what I'm arguing. They're gonna become a dying breed if it continues down that path.
I just don't know. They have a lot of staying power. I personally think they can hold their own.
It'll break over time.
How long?
I give it the next decade.
So one more console generation.
Yeah.
With all the changes they're making right now, 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I give it in that 10 years because, especially at the pace that these games are, like, Microsoft's moving at, right? Because again, it just from the pure like we see this on the Apple side as well, right? Like, look, I was watching this great. I'll give you a little side story. Do you know who Johnny Ives is?
No.
So, if you ever held an iPhone or a Mac or an iPod, or that iconic, blue, maybe not that iPhone, another one. Do you ever remember those iconic iMacs with the color backs that are old school?
Yeah. So this looking.
Yeah. This British dude named Jonathan Ives, he designed all those devices.
That's cool.
Okay. The very first MacBook that you had, designed by Jonathan Ives. So he's a bit of a well-known designer of hardware, right? One of the most iconic. I mean, the iPhone silhouette is him, right? The iPod silhouettes are him, right? And so he left Apple a few years ago, and he was doing a couple projects for Apple, but then he kind of built his own company, and then it kind of went silent for the last 5 years. And just a few weeks ago, OpenAI bought him and his company for $1 billion. Okay. And they're going to work on the next generation of hardware integrated with artificial intelligence.
Does this have something to do with Mattel saying they're going to work with OpenAI to put AI into their toys?
No. The reason why this is relevant to the conversation is because OpenAI has made this investment into this chief designer, right? And they're taking a gamble. They're going to create a breakthrough product that is unheard of right now, because Jonathan Ives has has a history of creating breakthrough products, right? And so he's with OpenAI, and then they go and ask Apple, "Hey, what do y'all think about this? Like, your chief designer, because what has Apple created innovatively in the last 10 years?"
They just get something and make it better. What the iWatch is a Fitbit that's better.
But the Apple Watch design has not iterated in 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. They usually get an idea of a pre-existing something, and then they just make it better.
Apple for the last 10 years has made money in two ways: make a newer version of the same product, right? Put some lipstick on it, and you're good to go, or make it so that you have to buy all these accessories because they're so damn easy to lose or change, right? Because you change your cables, so now we all got to change cables, or lose an AirPod, so you got to go buy a whole new set of AirPods, right? But here's the troubling part, right? Here's where I'm scared for Apple. Again, I'll bring it why it's all related to this whole gaming thing, right? And Nintendo specifically. Apple sitting here and you're asking the executives at Apple saying, what do you think about this collaboration between OpenAI and your former chief designer? And Apple's response is, why are we going to worry about a company whose annual revenue is less than our smallest product line that we sell, which is the AirPods? I was like, we're not gonna worry. Like we're too comfortable to be worried about that. But that's the worst place to be because OpenAI is going to take a risk and create something revolutionary, right? And Pokemon, as much as you say that Pokemon's amazing right now, what happens when somebody creates something revolutionary that's only available on the other platform that is not Nintendo? Because the other ones are taking the risk, right? The other ones are gonna create this new. Can you imagine like just a version of Pokemon that you could play on any device with any person?
Are we talking about Power World?
I don't know, what is that?
You haven't. That's a huge thing, man. So Steam, somebody put on Steam a game called Power World, where you essentially catch Pokemon and you build bases and you battle gym leaders, you do everything. And Nintendo came and sued them to the ground. But it was everywhere for a little while and it was fun. But I'm just saying, like, no, Nintendo takes care of what they know is their IP. You can't get
I get that. So I'm not saying that somebody's gonna copy, but
something better.
I mean, if you go back to first principles, right? There's certain characteristics of the Pokemon brand that enticed people and locked people into that world, right? That drew people into the world of Pokemon. But you can't patent first principles, right? You can't put copyrights on first principles. So somebody's going to create an experience that makes you feel like Pokemon, that doesn't infringe on Pokemon's copyrights, and it's going to be in this new world that Microsoft's creating, and then there's going to be Nintendo on their own, and like that's from a business perspective, that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, you want them to play a game and be a part of it, which I think would be awesome. But like you already saw, it's Fortnite. Fortnite had God of War, right? Was it in Kratos, Master Chief, and an Apple guy. That guy was an Apple representing the Apple dude from Apple. But they just could not get Samus because Nintendo said no, thank you. Only you can only get it exclusively on the Switch. So I'm saying, like, they said no to playing game many times.
I know, but I'm telling you that if Nintendo keeps this up, Nintendo will cease to exist.
I don't know. I don't think so. Their Switch sold out really fast.
I get that.
What's their numbers now for Switch 2? It's not even a big, like, huge leap in innovation. It's just more powerful Switch, right?
They're becoming Apple.
Yeah. But
they're becoming Apple because the Switch 2 is literally just an iterative thing. It didn't revolutionize in any way, shape, or form.
But it still sold a bunch really, really fast.
Again, for now.
Yeah. Well, I guess the telling sign would be the next generation and see how well it keeps up. I have an article
here that says the Nintendo Switch 2 may be the last of its kind. Enjoy it while you still can.
What's the kind?
Well, let's read it together. Here's the headline. The Nintendo Switch 2 may be the last of its kind. Enjoy it while you still can. Video game industry loves to tout figures, record-breaking sales numbers, astonishing revenue growth, dazzling quantities of concurrent players. It makes sense that people who make and play games love numbers. They're proof someone's winning. Also, competition, just a little sidebar, competition drove adoption, right? Like, I remember being a kid and saying, like, no, screw you, like, Halo's the best, so Microsoft's the best. And somebody was like, no, Mario's the best, and so the GameCube was the best, right?
Who said that?
Bunch of weirdos. People formed alliances to their consoles.
Yeah, mostly PlayStation and Xbox. No one liked the GameCube over anything, dude.
No, but people almost like a religion align themselves to their consoles, to the brand that they loved the most, and it was the brand that had the games that they loved the most, right? The only reason I tolerated PlayStation is because I loved Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts was only a PlayStation thing, right?
But now Kingdom Hearts is now on everything.
Yeah, well, again, so I'm making an argument from before, right? All I'm saying is that when there's a console war right now that's been going on since the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah.
But what happens when the console war ends? Because effectively, Microsoft says we're not making consoles. Sony says we're not making consoles. Like, if there's no war to fight, did you win by default? Because the players are gonna game. This is not a war that, like, like I'm trying to say, like the rules of engagement are gonna change, and like Nintendo's over here like fighting this fight, but like the fight left.
I don't even think Nintendo was ever fighting the fight. I promise you, I think it was always PlayStation versus Xbox. Nintendo's always done their own thing.
I don't think so, Danny, because we had the Wii. The Wii's the number one selling console. It competed. Well, from a technology perspective, Nintendo hasn't competed since 2006.
That's what I'm saying. They've been doing their own thing. The Wii sucked. I mean, it's good in different ways, but it wasn't like I'm not playing Call of Duty on the Wii. You know, you play Call of Duty on PlayStation or Xbox. The Wii sold out, but it was Nintendo playing their own stuff, dude. It sold out for Wii Sports. You know what I mean?
I can see the argument you're making, which is like the rest of the world might burn over, but Nintendo's gonna be Nintendo
and do their own thing.
I just think that there will be a moment where there's gonna be a demographic who does not care about Nintendo anymore. And that's when Nintendo's going to be in trouble.